Good evening, and welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. CCXP is underway, which is Brazil's biggest Comic-Con. I think it's the second biggest Comic-Con in the world, if we're being, serious about the whole thing. I think it is. I think it by numbers, it's the second biggest behind San Diego is CCXP. But Marvel and DC are bringing out their shit, and they are unveiling shit down there. So we got a trailer today for The Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the new Indiana Jones movie. It looks okay. It's been a while since I watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So, if they showed me that trailer, if they took that trailer and made it entirely footage from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I couldn't have told you. But it looks fine. I'm sure it'll be okay. It's not really. It's doing that thing where the trailer is designed to tell you a good trailer story, even if it's not at the behest or not accurate depiction of the movie. We don't really get a ton of what's this movie gonna be. It's just a lot of footage of Indiana Jones being Indiana Jones, which is fine, and hopefully it's entertaining. That's all I can ask for. But that's not the one I really wanted to dive into, because look, we're gonna see Indiana Jones anyway, and we're gonna see this next one anyway too. But I think this next one is gonna be a little bit divisive, my take on it. The trailer that just dropped a little while ago for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which comes out in May, so in about 5 months. We have that. Next year's Marvel calendar for theatrical releases is, first up, you have Quantumania in February, then you have or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in May, and then you have what was the last one? And then you have the Marvels in July. So you got quite a bit coming out next year. And then you have a huge gap until the next May when Captain America comes out, but there is Disney Plus stuff too. So, all of that notwithstanding, this new trailer does not exactly inspire a ton of confidence in me for what this means for, what this movie's going to be going forward. When they land in that somewhat suburban area that, the High Evolutionary's been fucking around in, and is turning everyone into these things, it's it looks cheap in a weird way. I think young Rocket looks fine, and I think that we're going to really be grappling with Rocket's backstory. And I think that had there been, had there been room for 2 movies, that probably would have been better for this. But we're grappling with Rocket's backstory and his ties to the High Evolutionary. And we're also dealing with Gamora, who doesn't have memories, not because she lost her memories, but because this is not the Gamora that we know. And they're not going to and I hope they don't Loki it. And when I say Loki it, I mean do what they did on Loki, where they have, they do a quick thing in the first episode to, show him everything that happened, to expedite the character development, to bring the Loki from the Avengers to the Loki who's willing to sacrifice himself to save Thor's life in Infinity War. I hope we're not going to get that for Gamora, where we're just going to expedite through the character development and be like, okay, and this is what you should be, so you're going to become this now. And it's alright, sure, why not? I hope they don't do that. But I think if they're going to prioritize the High Evolutionary story and Rocket's ties to that, there's a chance that happens. I also feel like there is the issue of, and that's the thing too, I haven't seen really too many spoilers or leaks about this. I'm interested to see where that goes. I'm interested to see where this movie goes, but I'm not. This trailer doesn't inspire a ton of confidence in me. It's not that it looks like more of the same, which I would be fine with if it was more of the same of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just, it doesn't, it's, I feel like Gunn flanderizes his characters to a great degree. Where characters who were already at an absurd point to begin with are made more absurd and more ridiculous as time goes on. And at that point, you're like, well, why? Why do we need to keep making this more and more absurd as we go further? Why does that need to happen? Just, Guardians of the Galaxy has funny moments, but watch Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians 2 and then the Guardians Holiday Special in quick succession, and you will see that the characters kind of change rapidly, and the comedy aspect takes a front row seat where it should be the dramatic situations they're in a lot of cases. You can still have comedic moments, and you can still have the movie be funny. I'm not saying the movie can't be funny, but like I said in my review on Beware of Spoilers, I'll put a spoiler alert up, or I'll play the entire theme song because I pressed the wrong button. But when you go back to that, I talked about the scene where the audience is introduced to the idea that Mantis is Star-Lord's sister for the first time. And that introduction comes via a conversation with Drax. And Drax is not a character, as portrayed, who can deal with that level of emotional levity. And he's had moments of it where, when he talks about, when we were introduced to him in Guardians of the Galaxy and in Guardians Volume 2, when he talks about his daughter with Mantis. But Drax is inherently a self-centered individual, so anything that's said for him has to, go, what's it called? It ends up being this, about him. So, the scene keeps getting undercut through emotion, this emotional, sequence, and that's the thing with, holiday specials, too, where you can say, it's meant to be a TV holiday special and all that, but they all still have an emotional, gooey center to them that you need to have. And if you don't have it, then it doesn't quite work. And I think that was one of the problems I had with the Guardians Holiday Special, was this intensely emotional moment between him and Mantis, where Mantis is pouring her heart out and being like, look, I am Peter's half-sister. We share a father. And I don't want him to look at me and every time he sees me, see the man who killed his mother. And that is a profoundly impactful statement by her. But that scene would be so much better laid out, so much better done if it's Rocket that she's having the conversation with, because Rocket can handle the emotional levity of that situation. And let's have it end with, send Drax with you and go out and find him a Christmas gift. Maybe that'll help you feel better. But I feel like that's the kind of situation that we're in when we get to this movie now, where it's all of these characters are kind of just caricatures of what they started out as. And I'm kind of cautiously optimistic in the way that, I think I felt the same way about the trailer for the second Guardians, where it's that second trailer starts with them alright, showtime, a-holes. It's alright, I get it. I saw the first movie, yes, and it's that movie does have an endearing quality to it, so maybe we can get to that emotional heart, but based on what happened in the holiday special, I'm not overly optimistic. But then again, it's the holiday special is just kind of a flub. If you look at the other things that have happened since, it's Suicide Squad was really good, and it still maintained that even in the face of comedy. And Peacemaker was really good too. Maybe it was just the holiday thing that didn't quite hit for me. And I seem to recall the first time I saw Guardians 2 back in 2017, that was. I remember leaving, and I think in my review that I did, I went to a Regal for that movie. I didn't go to an AMC. But when I left, I remember talking about it, and I'm maybe this is just the point where I've, as people say, you'll outgrow these movies, where it's maybe this is just the point where and it took me a few viewings to really come around and like it, but it's my problem was, it's I don't feel like Yondu feels like the same character from the first one to the second one, and the reason why he changes to service the plot in the second one, it doesn't quite mesh with reality. It just kind of feels weird. But look, hopefully this movie's good. I never root against a movie. It's just, I don't think this movie's going to... I don't know. I feel stupid for doubting James Gunn. I feel really dumb. I feel like it's a bad bet to make. It's a bet against James Gunn. But this trailer just doesn't do it for me. And I don't know why, but I'm looking at this trailer and I'm like, I don't think this movie's going to be good. And it's like, well, why? You're looking at 2 minutes from a 2.5 hour movie, potentially. What about this makes you think it won't be good? It's just, this trailer doesn't quite land the way I would expect it to. It just feels like, if the movie is the right length, I feel like it'll work. But I feel like there's too much going on. And a lot of it needs to be, kind of concise. If we're going to make use of the screen time in a meaningful way. But yeah, hopefully it's... look, I want it to be good. And I have a feeling... Look, I'm just going to say it right now. Don't think Rocket's making it out of this one. I think we're looking at the end of Rocket. And I think that's why this is going to be that situation. And I don't know where it goes from there. Nor do I know where this team goes from here. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to it. It's just maybe it's less high up on my list than, say, as of right now, both... I think it comes down to both Quantumania and the Marvels being more overtly tied to the broader Secret Wars Kang dynasty of it all. I think it definitely comes down to the fact that I can very clearly draw a line between those movies and the overarching thing. Where Guardians I can't, but we'll see. I'm optimistic, even if I don't sound it. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.